Good morning, everyone. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am here today to provide a briefing on the city's snow preparedness. I am joined by the city administrator for D.C., the director of the Department of Public Works. I am joined by WMATA's general manager and the CEO of PEPCO, Tyler Anthony, along with the incredible DC snow team. Please give the snow team a big round of applause. Our agencies that make up the snow team include the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, the Mayor's Office of Community Services, DHS, that's the Department of Human Services, the Department of Health, DDOT, HCEMA, DGS, our General Services Agency, and many other people behind the scenes who are preparing for this weekend snow event in next week, which we expect to be a very cold week. So by now, people have heard about the significant winter storm that is headed our way. These are our expectations. Our team is briefed by the National Weather Service regularly so that we can be prepared for any changes in the forecast or conditions. We expect snow to begin Saturday evening. It will continue throughout the night and into the day on Sunday and possibly into Monday. This will be the largest snowfall we've seen in a long time. Current projections have at least 9 inches of snow falling with the potential for more. There is a possibility of freezing rain overnight Sunday into Monday, which will increase hazardous conditions. So at the same time, we're also headed into a very cold week. On Monday night into Tuesday morning, we are expecting wind chills to be below 0. So to make sure we have all the resources we need to respond, I am declaring a state of emergency in the District of Columbia, effective now. We are also requesting vehicle support from the DC National Guard to ensure our first responders are able to move around the city during the storm, and that request has been made. We're also out today to spread the word to the public to get prepared and be prepared. We need you to get inside. We have our outreach teams out all week getting people into shelter. And let me be clear, we have space for everyone. And this is seriously dangerous conditions for people to be outside. If you still see people outside, call our shelter hotline by calling 311 or by dialing 202-399-7093. We have shelter space available for everyone who needs it. We also want you to be prepared by charging your devices, locating your shovel, finding your flashlights, and make sure you have enough batteries for them. Don't wait until Saturday to get stocked up for groceries, and have a plan for your senior family members and senior neighbors. Also, make sure you are signed up for Alert DC. You can sign up at alert.dc.gov. And once you're signed up, you will get updates directly to your phone. And once we deploy our snow teams, don't crowd the plows. In fact, stay out of their way, stay off the roads, and only use the roads if you need to. So with the state of emergency, we are requiring motorists who have vehicles parked on snow emergency routes to move them by Saturday at noon, Saturday 12 noon. Vehicles must remain clear of the snow emergency routes until Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. If conditions show that we need to extend the snow emergency route beyond Tuesday morning, we will make that change and make everybody aware of that. But the snow emergency route is in effect from Saturday to Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. So with regards to government operations, let me start with schools. We have a planned no school day for students on Monday as part of their regular calendar, so that will remain in effect. And the DC Public Schools will continue to communicate with school staff about their planned professional development day. If your child attends a public charter school, you will receive updates directly from them. So over the weekend, we will provide an update about the status of DC government on Monday. And that decision I will make based on our conditions and our need to get open. One modification that has already been made is that we are suspending leaf collection starting this afternoon, and those because those teams who do leaf collection also clear the snow, and so they are already transitioning to snow cleanup. Residents should also expect their trash days to slide, and we will keep you up to date on if you have a Monday pickup, for example, when you should expect your trash to be picked up. We do remind residents, just as property owners, our business property owners, you are responsible for shoveling your sidewalks. You are also responsible for clearing the area in your alley spaces. That goes a long way in helping us have access to the alleyways. That said, getting trash picked up as soon as possible will continue to be our top priority. If you are a snow hero through Serve DC, thank you. And I want you to know that we will continue to communicate with you to get supplies out, and you should expect to receive communications this weekend about deployments. Serve DC Snow Heroes help people who are unable to shovel their snow with shoveling tasks. And since we haven't had a big snow in a while, this would be a good time for people who have some time and energy and are strong, strapping people who want to help a neighbor. This would be the time to serve your city and your neighbors. So please look out for information for sign up to become a snow hero. And again, I said this earlier and it bears repeating, check on your neighbors, check on our older family members, and make sure that people in your circles are prepared, because we're going to get a lot of snow and it's going to be very cold next week, which means the snow sticks around. And so we want people to make sure they have food, they have a safe passage in and out. And that goes for everybody. A lot of people get injured during this time. And that's from shoveling snow. So if you're not able, just think about your readiness to be out there moving heavy snow. But there are also a lot of slip and falls that people don't see the ice, don't have great, or think their balance is better than it is. So like just be mindful of yourselves and have a plan to check in with people. And if you're one of those people, have a plan to call out so people know how you're doing and what you're up to, and if you need help. And you can always call us if you need help. So with that, let me turn to Anthony Crispino, who is the director of DPW. He will be followed by the general manager for DC Metro, and Randy Clark. And Randy will be followed by the CEO of Pepco, Tyler Anthony, and they will be able to take a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to piggyback on what the mayor has said thus far. We are taking this storm very serious. The forecast is starting to firm up, so we have a better idea on what to expect in terms of snowfall. DPW and the snow team have been preparing for a storm somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 12 inches with potential for ice on the back end. So what our preparations have been is making sure that we have all the employees and equipment available to address the conditions that we're facing. Operations actually began last night at 7 p.m. We began brining the streets, and we will continue to brine the streets for through tomorrow before the snow begins. Once the operations really kick into high gear around noon tomorrow with the commencement of the snow emergency, we'll shift over from brining to salt to get a good layer of chemical down on the streets. And then once the snowfall starts, we really will begin to turn to straight plowing until the snowfall lets up. At the point that our operations really get into full swing, we will have in excess of 800 employees dedicated just to snow abatement and removal, and over 300 pieces of equipment, which includes some of the vehicles that you see behind us. Apologize for the interruption. Okay, so once snowfall gets underway, as the mayor said, we need everybody to take this serious. Please make sure that your cars aren't on the posted routes. We want to be able to clear from curb to curb so that fire, EMS, and other essential services such as DC Water and Pepco can get to any calls for service as quickly as possible during the duration of the storm. And we want you to avoid any fines or relocation of your vehicle. I want to stress the cold temperature on the back of this storm is going to be very serious, and as the mayor has indicated, you need to check on each other. Please stay off the roads if you can, stay inside where it's warm, but if you have elderly neighbors, please check on them. And then once the snowfall stops and you can venture outside, just help them out clearing their sidewalks. We'll touch on that with some of the other directors. And with the trash collection, we will do everything that we can to get back to normal service. There's going to be some slide dates. It's just the nature of the beast with this type of storm. I'm taking precautions to try and get us back to normal service as quickly as possible. We just ask you to be patient with us. And with that, I'll turn it over to the GM.
Good morning, everyone. Randy Clark, the Metro General Manager. I want to thank the Mayor for having me here today. It further reemphasizes that partnerships are so critical every day, but especially when there's incidents. Obviously, we work across all the regions, so I appreciate the Mayor declaring a state of emergency early. Allows us all to prepare and work together. Team Metro, just like the DPW team behind me, I want to thank them. We have thousands of people that are in preparation mode, working hard to make sure we can deliver service. So a couple things I want to go through here. We will have a full Emergency Operations Center activation starting on Saturday. We actually have, for the first time, staff embedded at DPW, so I want to thank DPW Director for that coordination. It is so important for sidewalks, bus stops, all that kind of coordination. When it comes to Metro, we have over 400 pieces of equipment for snow fighting and hundreds of people that will be actually deployed. So all the prep is active, just like DPW is here. So on the service front, rail definitely can operate in snow, but all snow is different. We are expecting very heavy snow, and obviously then the potential of ice. That is what we are most concerned about at Metro, is the buildup in ice. Extreme cold temperatures, the Mayor mentioned too, also lead to potential rail breaks. We've had a few this week with the very serious cold. So all of that is, we are going to run rail service at the ability of safely running through those conditions. So it could vary. We are not going to run one line and not the rest of the lines, but it could vary in sections where we don't have full availability to run safely. So all track work that we normally had planned for this weekend has been canceled, and all of our staff are in. One thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to be storing trains inside, so we could fit about 60 train sets, give or take, inside the tunnels at all of our inside stations, and we'll be activating that very late Saturday night. We have our de-icer trains are already prepped and ready. Plow trains are ready, and all of our polisher trains are ready. And so we are going to be out doing all of that type of work. And again, we like DPW will prep. When snow gets there, we'll plow. and then back to prepping for the ice after that. On the bus side, bus is heavily dependent on roadway conditions. So I want to just reiterate my thanks to our DC partner, but also our partners in Prince George's, Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, Montgomery County, Maryland DOT, Virginia DOT. We run on their infrastructure, and we work together to make sure those roads are safe. So where there's hills, where there's narrow roads or tight turns, that's especially challenging for us on the bus side. It's pretty clear we're going to have some bus impacts. There's probably no way around that. The question is how severe. We may have some temporary suspensions, but we are going to do everything we can again to serve especially places where there's critical staff, hospitals, grocery stores, things of that nature. And we'll work really closely with HCMA and all of our other regional partners to try to get people to those critical resources and critical facilities the best we can. Put all that in Metro Access, same deal. Service conditions will determine that. We are already proactively reaching out on the Metro Access side to try to reschedule trips. If you do not need an absolute kind of life mission out on Sunday morning especially, we ask that you please, use some weather sense here, stay inside, look after each other, as the mayor said, and then travel after that. On the notification side, we please ask you to hit Metro Pulse is our best way to get real-time information, or WMATA.com snow. Also, all of our social media or with our with people in the regular media. So, last thing again, I want to just really emphasize this. We do not know what we are going to run right now. People have been reaching out. What is Metro going to do? No idea right now, in the sense of, because we don't know the conditions. It's going to vary based on these conditions. We will only run service if it is safe. And if it's safe, we're going to run as much service as possible because we know how critical Metro is in people's lives in the DMV. So, again, please pay attention to alerts, and they could be dynamic and real time, especially between late Saturday through sometime on Monday. And again, thank you, Mayor, for having me here today. I think Tyler?
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Randy. Mayor, thanks for having me here today. Couple comments. Well, first, my name's Tyler Anthony. I'm the president and CEO of Pepco Holdings. And I'll start by saying, as you listen to the weather, as you listen to the different report outs, for us, this is an all hands on deck situation. We don't know how bad this is going to be, but for Pepco, we're preparing for the very worst. We have 3 priorities right now as we prepare. One is, are all of the power lines on system, in configuration, and do everything we can to prevent those outages with the necessary configuration, backup lines, etc. So step 1, prevent the outage. Step 2 is when we do have outages, and when you hear about this ice, that's our concern as well. When you get heavy icing of the lines, they can tend to come down. But the second item is, do we have the resources? Our emergency facilities are all up and running. We're pre-staging material all throughout our region and the different service centers to make sure we have all the necessary equipment and staff. We continue to bring more staff in from our neighboring utilities and from different contract groups to supplement all of our existing folks. And then lastly, and every bit as important, is that we communicate, and we communicate transparently with our customers. People need to know if they have an outage, what we know, what's the action, what's the restore time, so they can make informed decisions about their current situation. So again, our 3 priorities. Let's prevent these outages. Let's get them back as quickly as we can and be prepared. And third, we must communicate everything we know and be transparent about that. I'd like to direct everybody, a great resource for us is our outage map. You can find on our web link. You can see it. And also, I'll say a top priority for us, you heard Randy talk about it, is safety. The power lines can tend to come down. They can be buried in the snow. Safety is a top priority for us. I ask customers to report their outages. We have many ways to report them. We need your help in that, whether it's online, whether it's on the phone, or you can text us. Just go to our website and you can find all those different segues. So, I also want to encourage, as my colleagues talked about, I want to encourage residents to be prepared. It can be as simple as making sure your phone is charged. I love the mayor's comments about looking out for yourself and looking out for your neighbors. What will make this a successful response is that we all work together, and that includes our customers. So one thing I commit to you as CEO, we're going to work around the clock, and we're going to get this cleaned up and get everybody back to normal. Very concerned about the combination of outages and the cold weather that can get very serious as it pertains to our residents. But you have our commitment. We're going to be here 24/7. We're going to continue to prepare, and we're going to respond appropriately. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. I also want to acknowledge Director McGaffin, who leads our OUC, our 911 and 311 call center, and all of the call center staff who are preparing to be there as long as it takes. And they are emblematic of a lot of our workers. When we get a forecast like this, they're planning to be away from their families for several days. And we want to say thank you in advance for that sacrifice for all of us. So with that, we can take a few questions. Yes, and let me ask Crispino to step forward and Kevin to step forward and help me with any questions. Yes, Mark.
Mayor Bowser, on the National Guard request, is it easier since they're already deployed? Is it a matter of just picking up the phone and calling the general, or are you actually having to go the traditional route of making a request through the Secretary of the Department of Army, and then would the National Guard troops who are here from out of state be part of this responses, or just the DC National Guard?
I know the answers to your first two questions, and they are yes and yes. So we are making a request through the traditional route for some equipment, and we're also talking directly to the general about some staff deployments in the district. We expect that to be related to snow clearing, especially for vulnerable communities.
Not sure whether the out-of-state.
I don't know who's going to be doing what, but I expect the priority will be DC National Guard.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Yes.
Good morning. For Metro and DPW, at what point with the rails will that determine whether you'll stop service? Is it when snow reaches a certain point on there that pivots that? And then for the streets, are there any areas that you all are asking people to stay away from once snow does start? I don't know if it gets more challenging around parks or windy roads.
Great question. So with the declaration of the emergency, there are posted routes within the District of Columbia. Those are the areas that we would ask that the residents not park, because those are usually arterial streets and they are critical for police and fire to get from point A to B during the event. So for DPW and the snow team, it would be the designated snow routes. Please don't park there.
Yeah, hi, thanks for your question. I think what you're referring to is there a level of snow on the tracks that we wouldn't run service? Yeah, so our goal here is first we're going to de-ice, which will minimize accumulation. When it gets kind of heavy, we'll have our plow trains out. Not to get too technical, but what we call, if the ball of the rail, our plow will plow to the ball of the rail. And the idea is to prevent accumulation. What we're most concerned about, again, is this heavy snow could turn into ice, where the snow could kind of chunk up around our third rail. No third rail means no power means no train movement. So that's why we're working so hard. The de-icers make sure the third rail stays kind of ice-free, and then we plow to remove snow. And that's the best way we do it. And that's why we're also storing trains inside. It's going to allow us to plow our yards. And when our yards have less trains in them, we can plow and create more space for the trains to move. So kind of a complex movement between kind of where on the depot side and in the track side.
For the mayor or any of you, the question was just asked a moment ago about areas to stay away from. I mean, are there particular streets, hills, intersections that are particularly dangerous in this kind of weather that you yourself, Madam Mayor, would say to everyone, just don't go anywhere near there?
Well, I think the overall message is if you don't need to be out during the active snowfall and immediately thereafter, to stay inside. And that's most of us. There are people who have to get to their jobs at hospitals and at grocery stores and senior facilities. So there are people who need to be moving and others that could spend a Sunday at home. And so we would recommend that. And frequently people who frequent certain roads, they know the roads that ice up faster. They know all of that. So there is a kind of rehearsed protocol of the priority streets. Every street some of the places I just described are priorities. We function from this kind of value set that we want to get through a event like this, which is, I may sound a little calm, but this is a big storm, all right? We haven't had a big storm like this in a while, and we have been preparing for this. We're very concerned about the cold. And the cold weather like this mixed with precipitation puts people in a lot of danger. Being outside in weather like this, somebody could die. Okay, if you're outside and you're sleeping outside, so we got to get people in. So I tell my team, as you've heard from all of the executives here, is that we have to be safe. We want to keep people safe, and we want to keep, we want to see everybody next week. Okay, so that's what we want. It's also a priority that we get open. Okay, we are a local government. We provide direct services. And so it is always my focus that we get people open. When we have snow events like this, industry suffers, restaurants and hospitality suffer. And if we can't get open, then their employees and guests can't get to work and get to their events. So how do we focus on keeping people safe, and cleaning up and making sure we can get open and get back to normal for our own government operations and theirs. And I should just clarify something that I said earlier. Chancellor Farabee, as I mentioned, there's no school for children as planned, and the teachers will have their professional development day virtually.
Mayor, one quick follow-up. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You mentioned you're concerned about the cold and somebody could die. As a follow-up, I did see that you're opening, I think, 8 hypothermia shelters.
Yes.
Could you drill down on what those facilities will do? Obviously, they'll keep people warm, but
Sure.
are there beds, food?
Sure. Let me ask Director for DHS to answer your question and to more generally talk about outreach and how our contractors are working to get people in, how our employees, and what the general public can do. Director.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. So, as you mentioned and the Mayor mentioned, we have space. The first message is that we really want to encourage people to come in. We have space for anyone who needs to come in. Our outreach teams have been working overtime since we started planning for this event. Sorry about that. Since we started planning for this event to ensure that our residents experiencing homelessness know what is going on, to encourage them to come inside, we'll continue outreach as long as it's safe to do so in terms of in-person outreach, in terms of our outreach teams walking the ground and making sure to check on our neighbors. Our shelter hotlines will continue throughout the storm 24/7 to encourage people who have chosen not to come in, but also distributing warming items for folks who may choose to stay outside. While cold weather injuries are preventable, so we really want people to come in. However, we also want to make sure that if folks choose to stay outside, they have the resources to keep safe outside. Our hypothermia shelters will be open throughout the storm 24/7. They'll be receiving food, case management, any other services. So we plan to not close our hypothermia shelters during the day. So starting this evening at 7 p.m., they will be open until the end of this event. Yes, our shelters, our low barrier shelters, offer clothing. Our daytime drop-in centers offer clothing. Thank you.
Can I just follow up on that? So will there become a point where you would compel people to come off the street involuntarily if there's people living in tents or otherwise unsheltered? You keep saying encourage them to come off and provide them with supplies, but does there come a point where you would actually compel them against their will to come in, either FD12 them or other means?
So the purpose of us continuing to do outreach is to check on folks. So in some cases, when people may choose to stay outside, but they're also refusing the additional resources that they need to stay safe outside, then we would call the community response team to do an assessment to determine if this person needs to be FD12.
Yeah, got a message or a question for Pepco, I guess. You see, especially in the suburbs around here, increasing chances of sleet and freezing rain. How much does that impact everything compared to the snow? And then just the sheer size of this storm, how does that, does it hinder you from getting more support from outside the area like you sometimes do when big storms come?
Yeah, great questions. A couple there. So the outside resources, you know, when you look at the size of this hitting our nation, resources are tighter and tighter. What's beneficial for us is sister utilities, Delmarva Power, Pepco, or PECO up in Philly, BG&E. We'll look at this and say, do we need to move any of those utility resources around? And we're pre-staging everybody. In addition to that, we're pre-staging people before the storm comes from other states and other groups. So right now, we feel like we have what we need to respond. And as we learn where the pockets are, we'll hit those with even additional resources just based on what transpires. And then your point about the icing, and you heard the commentary about us. Where we get into big trouble is when you have that mix, and then it's wet, and then it combines with freezing. If a power line starts to get icing on it, the amount of ice on that line puts a lot of additional weight on that conductor. And what can happen is, even with a small crosswind, that can start swaying and cause it to snap. So you typically, have the risk with trees, and now you have this risk with ice. So that's what we're going to be paying close attention to. And as you've heard us discuss, it's a big watch area for us right now.
This question is for the CEO of Pepco. This is Tosin with DC News Now. I'm right here in the center. Just obviously we're hoping for the best, but if there are chances where power lines do come down, do you guys have a certain strategy of what areas will get checked out first, fixed first? And just to follow up on the question about help from other areas, have you contacted them, and at what point will they be able to help you if you need that extra help?
Yeah, we're talking constantly. We have additional check-ins today as an example. So it's a constant communication. As far as, I want to make sure I answer your question. As far as our protocols, our emergency response facility, we're very deliberate on, say we have a series of outages, the emergency facilities, hospitals, police and fire, top priority to get those restored. And then the way we work it down is the outages with the most customers impacted. So if we have an outage, for example, that has 1,000 customers impacted, we'll work that in priority of one that may have 5. And what we'll also do, I mentioned the outage map, in order to communicate that, what we'll do is once the storm, kind of comes through, and these develop, like changes all the time. But what we'll do is, on our outage map as an example, you can get a sense of your particular outage and where you kind of stack up in that priority. And we'll try to give estimated restore times based on size of outage and priority. So what I would underscore, though, is it's important that people report outages. We have many ways to do that, whether it's through the web link, whether it's through text message, whether it's through the phone call. We really need to hear from people. And I also want to take the opportunity to say, you've heard this term safety. When conductors are down, people need to stay away. They can be very dangerous, and in some cases, maybe they could still be energized. So I just kind of say that as well. Thank you.
Okay, yes. And we'll take a couple more, and then these guys got to get back to work.
Just one follow-up on the power outage issue.
Yes.
If people are experiencing prolonged power outages and perhaps at a significant scale across the city, is there anywhere where the city would encourage those people to go, given the cold weather? Is there overflow space or any contingency plan for that situation?
Well, we will have the 8 rec centers that would be available, and we'll call those our cold weather centers. And we have the capacity to add more wherever. As I mentioned about the OUC staff, we have DPR staff who are already positioned to be in those centers. Our DPW staff and DDOT staff similarly, have their plan of how they will work shifts and stay over if need be. Yes.
Mayor Bowser, I'm wondering what you and or your team can tell me about the district's response to the sewage spill that's been ongoing for days in the Potomac River. It really seems like it's getting to be in a disastrous situation there that's all flowing downriver into the District of Columbia. I'm just wondering if there's consideration of closing the river, closing the area. What your response?
Mark, can we come back to you with that a bit later, and we'll give you a fulsome response. I can't give you an intelligent response right now. I'm happy to come back to you on it though. Okay, thank you everybody.